Did Mathieu van der Poel just crush a decades-long tradition with his epic win on the Champs-Élysées in stage 21? Will we ever see a sprint again on the Champs-Élysées? I got some thoughts on this, a reason to do it and a reason not to do it, so stay tuned. First off, only 89 Ks on the final stage of the Tour. I don't think we've ever seen that before unless we go back to like a time trial. Shout out Laurent Fignon, shout out Greg LeMond. What we saw today was exactly what the Tour de France needed. Epic spectacle of the highest caliber, making it feel like a spring classic. My group chats were blowing up, people saying, this is why the spring classics are obviously the best thing in cycling. What we watched today at one point was 4 world champions off the front. Van der Poel, Pogačar, Pedersen, and Evenepoel. Rolling turns hard with a big group chasing, and then when they got caught again on the final climb up the Montmartre, Van der Poel attacked Pogačar this time, the only one who could follow. By the way, shout out Fred Wright for trying to hang in there. And then what we watched was the most incredible 10K of the entire Tour de France, and we had to wait for it for 21 days. I was standing, I was punching a pillow, I was screaming at the TV. And then for Van der Poel to win in the way that he did, I just cannot wrap my head around how incredible this was. And in the post-race interview, choking back some tears, Van der Poel admitted that this might be the most epic win of his career. At least it is way up there with the Amstel Gold Race from 2019, which we all, of course, still remember as well. So now back to my question, and how do we answer this? Does the Montmartre stay in the Stage 21 race in the Tour? Do we have to offer the sprinters their versions of the World Championship with the final day sprint? Well, let me put it this way. The sprinters deserve a chance to sprint for the big win after surviving all those heinous mountains. And it is sort of a beautiful classic tradition to have that stage. But everything that comes before that is extremely boring, and the stage itself doesn't really matter until the final 5K. So in that sense, I'd much rather watch what we saw today from Van der Poel and Pogačar for many, many years to come. And this might also entice Wout to come back to try and do it again, because he, of course, was the OG who did it last year, who dropped Pogačar on Montmartre and then soloed his way to victory, even though it was a little bit of a shorter run-in. So let me know in the comments, does this stay forever? Or do we have to have the mass sprint in there as well as a little sort of a cherry on top for the sprinters to stick around, fight through the mountains, and maybe even have a chance to win green if it comes down to it? Either way, one of the most incredible stages I have ever watched. Shout out Van der Poel, shout out Tour de France, and shout out everyone who's been watching my silly videos.